You know, it's funny, one of the things that I really thought I was going to have to put on Teflon for today is I have this nasty habit of just coming up with these titles because, candidly, it's like the green country town. It's a marketing strategy. And often what happens at these forums is I get pelted during the course of the day, and everyone tells us what that word means. And I've been wrestling with wanting to come up here with some provocative definition, and I really only have two observations. The first that was kind of a surprise to me today is we're talking about civic horticulture, which might imply we're talking about plants, and we heard virtually no Latin today. We saw Latin on some images, but literally no one felt the need to really impress us with their knowledge of cultivars and species. And I have to say, I was worried about that, but I kind of feel a little bit of a loss. You know, I love when these names of plants that I've never heard of before, and from my own experience, and Matt Griswold, who asked the question, who's a plant lover, and the great Sally Boasberg, who our foundation was founded at her dining room table. These are people that got me excited about my lack of knowledge, and I have an associate's degree in horticulture as well. So that's my first observation. The second is, what was so interesting to me, in particular in these last presentations, is how much of what we're talking about is about taking something that's hardscape and making it soft. Really reclaiming, and whether this trend started in Matt's presentation earlier today, and you know, it was interesting to me to see how much more, and we don't really measure, and I think about, for example, in GGN's work and their analysis, which we didn't see today, how the analysis of how much paved surface had come into Centennial Park over time. And I think we take for granted today that so much of what we're doing is we're actually creating pervious surfaces. We're giving things over to a living architecture, if you will, which might be another way of turning civic horticulture on its head. And finally, Halpern's name was mentioned several times today. Several people showed images of Paley Park today, and I can't help but think that next year, 2014, is the 50th anniversary of Bob Zion's exhibition for Mr. Paley called New Parks for a New City, and Lawrence Halpern published Cities. And what both of those things have in common on the eve of that 50-year anniversary is these two men on both coasts were saying, reclaim the street. That is where the kaleidoscope of life happens. And what we've seen today in these three panels is really reclaiming the street through the lens of civic horticulture. So I want to thank all of our speakers for providing us so much food for thought. I want to thank the Pennsylvania Horticulture Society, who we could never have done this without them. There's been an army of people who have been working behind the scenes for almost 2 years to make this happen. Suzanne Garza, yeah, thank you. Suzanne, who's probably hiding in the back of the room with Chella from PHS, has really chaperoned this at our small staff of 5 full-time and 3 part-time people at the Cultural Landscape Foundation. And also Courtney Spearman, who's sitting right here. If you haven't signed up for any of our What's Out There weekend tours, which will be happening free over the next couple of days, we hope that you will think to do so. Finally, there are, if you're interested in CEUs, please sign the back, and there's also evaluation forms in your packet. We'd love to know what you think. Is this something that should be a topic that we revisit again in 2 or 3 years? What didn't we address today? What did you like? What didn't you like? And again, for those of you that are coming to Olin, we look forward to having a glass of wine. Courtney? Yes, and then finally, what has been just so extraordinary today is we began the day with all of our sponsors, and Mrs. Hamilton wasn't in the room when we began this evening, and she has been with us all day today, and this could not have been done without her generosity. So on behalf of PHS and TCLF, thank you so much for being such an inspirational force. And we've made it with 1 minute to spare. Thank you all.